rolling.
Alright, let me roll.
Hello.
We're rolling.
Hello. Hello. We're here with Angela. She's here. She's gonna talk out of this pillow. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Casting Corner. I've got another great interview for you guys. I'm here with the lovely Geralyn Flood. Say hi.
Hello.
Really quickly, give me a little bit of your background. Where you're from, how you got into casting, where you've worked or what you've worked on, going on your own, and kind of what you're working on now, and partnering and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, got it.
This is like a
Nothing.
Oh,
Okay.
nothing. No,
Nothing.
just a
It's
little.
easy. So I'm originally from New York.
Well, where's that?
I am the youngest of 3 girls from Irish immigrants, and I moved out here 2001, right after 9/11, and started in casting pretty soon after. Randomly, my ex is an actor, and we had dinner with Kathy Ranking, who's a casting director, who now is in Atlanta, I believe. And we're like, we think we want to go to LA, and she was like, oh, cool. Well, what do you? When we had this whole great conversation, and she was like, you should meet my boss when you move out here. And I was like, okay. And it was Jeff Greenberg.
Oh.
And but I was so interested in features, I
Right.
just didn't know TV casting people well. And I was like, sure, okay, I'll meet him. Long story short, I finally had a meeting with him, and it was one of those like meant to be moments. He said, I'm doing a pilot with Jean Smart, and I was like, and he was like, you know her? And I was like, no, but I wrote a list of 5 names of women and men I wanted to see back on TV, in case you asked. I saw her in this play, this Nikki Silver play, and I thought she was so phenomenal, and he was like, oh, I saw that play too, and it started this whole theater conversation. He loves theater, I do too, and he was like, I'm going to take a shot, and I'm going to offer you a job, and I was like, and I am going to take that job. And then I never looked back. And so I got to work on like Frasier the last 2 seasons.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Phenomenal. Amazing. Yeah. They had outlines, 6 or 7 shows out always. Usually when you start a show, they're very strong. All the outlines are done, rough bones of the scripts, and you're like, oh, I know who this character is, fantastic. And then as the season goes on, it's a little more scrambly.
Right, yeah.
But they were always on top of it. They always knew what was happening and what was going on and what the arc was. That was really great.
Were there a lot of cooks in the kitchen for like decision making stuff, or was it like pretty?
I didn't. I mean, I was an assistant. I was not really in the. But I will say that. I mean, the funny thing to me is that all of this stuff that Frasier and Niles had, the wine tasting, the cigars, the love of music, all this stuff. All of the writers had that. I mean, there was one guy who just was a big wine connoisseur, and another guy who was like really into cheeses, and these guys, like all these like brilliant men.
Yeah.
Mostly men, some women,
right.
who came together to write these characters, and they were so. It was like, oh right, of course you're writing this character. This is a part of you.
Right.
It was just really fun to see.
Yeah.
My favorite episode. There was one episode that we did where they were trying to get caviar. There's no caviar in Seattle, and so they were doing this smuggling ring and this whole thing, and it was just very silly and fun. But they had real caviar, and after the show or during the show, they had like a green room with nice wine and cheeses and stuff. And at the end of the show, they had all this caviar. And I literally sat at the coffee table and just like ate the caviar. And the line producer was like, really, you're just gonna sit there? And I was like, yes, I'm a poor assistant and I have very rich taste. This is phenomenal. Okay, you do you. And they were all just like, yeah, get it, girl, I don't care.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I had no shame.
That's so funny.
I thought all shows were like that, where it was like so easily run, and the outlines were weeks ahead, and there were sushi days, and they were all, and I was like, oh, this is so, TV is so great. And then the next show, it was like, here's some like Lara bars, good luck. And then I worked with Jeff for a couple of years, and then started working with Marcy Liroff on features.
Did you do Mean Girls?
I did not do Mean Girls. No, that was before my time. But I did get to work with Mark Waters, who was lovely, on 2 films. And she kind of helped me along, and she made me a co-casting director on Ghost Girlfriend's Past.
Oh, that's amazing.
And in between working with Marcy, I would work with Zane Pillsbury on features and pilots. I got to work on. I got to work on White Collar.
Oh yeah.
The pilot.
The pilot, right? Yeah, because the series was in New York.
And I got to be in a room with Matt Bomer, and he is more beautiful and lovely. it's not. It's like unreal. You're like, are you?
A real human.
Is
this real?
Is this no?
Yeah.
No.
That's.
He's so beautiful and so nice.
Yeah,
So lovely.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
They have a poster still of White Collar up in their tape room that he signed, and like I'll look at it, and it's like even in the poster,
unreal.
I'm like, are you a real human?
It's
You're
unreal.
so pretty.
I know.
Did Jeff make an associate before?
He did not. No,
so
because it just sort of, and that was the thing. Like I kind of got delayed in the assistant world because it's like normally you stay within an office long enough and then they make you an associate, and then you can kind of spread your wings. But I forget what the timing was. Like he just didn't have anything at the moment. And
was Alan there at that time or no?
No. He was. I think he came in just before Modern Family, so 10 years, 11 years. No, I worked with Colin. Colin Daniel was the associate at the time.
I didn't know that Colin worked for.
And then he went off on his own soon
Brett.
after. Yeah, soon after with Brett.
And Brett was at Zane Pillsbury.
Correct.
Ah.
So that's how it all came about because there was a lull. I didn't have a gig, and they were doing an independent feature, Colin and Brett, and I was like, "Oh, do you need any help?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come." They gave some, and I worked with them for a little bit, and then I was like, "Oh, I don't have a job," and then he introduced me to St. Pillsbury. That's right. Good reminder.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's all.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Colin.
Very much. Then I was out on my own, and I was doing Nickelodeon. I did a Nickelodeon show for 4 years called Big Time Rush.
Oh yeah.
And I did another series for Nickelodeon, and then I was out of work for 8 months or something like that. And I was sort of like, ooh, okay, what am I going to do? And Marc Hirschfeld reached out to me and he said, because I had said to him, like, look, I'm looking if you hear of anything. He said, I got this pilot. It's really funny. It's the funniest thing I've read in a really long time. Do you want to come be a co-casting director with me? And I was like,
amazing.
Yes, please. And it was a pilot by the Philgos, Jeff and Jackie Philgo, called Save the Date. And we hired Maggie Lawson and Jay Ferguson to be the leads, and it was great. And we just started working together, and that was 6 years ago? I can't remember. We can't remember. It's like we're an old married couple. And then we partnered officially about 3 years ago, so we're on Hirschfeld Flood casting. It's been great. It's been lovely. And we've been doing Man with the Plan, which is by the Philgos.
Okay.
So we've been doing that, and then we've done a bunch of pilots, and now we're doing a pilot for CBS.
Yeah, which you just got.
Just
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What's that pilot?
It's called Jury Duty.
Okay.
And it's about a band of misfits who have to do jury duty. Very simple.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. And it's CBS pilot?
For CBS, yeah.
And you just got an RDOs.
I
You won an RDOs. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. For the All in the Family, the live in front of a studio audience, All in the Family, the Jeffersons. A lot of the heavy lifting was done by the Sony casting team by Don Steinberg and Delia Franco and Amanda Richards and Emily Lepp. So it's not all us. It was a team effort. They did a lot.
Yeah.
But, hey.
Yeah, they're all good. Yeah. Did you know Mark from before?
We had met at the Kids' Choice Awards with his kids. He's always quick to say, my children were with me. I was not there alone. I was not stalking people. His daughter, I think, or his son, I forget which one, loved Big Time Rush. And I was like, I'll get you a signed headshot. And I did and sent it off to him. And then I was part of the Television Academy casting director peer group. And he was on it for a little bit. And they had a celebratory dinner at the end of a Christmas holiday dinner. And so he was there and we started chatting then. And then also randomly my friend Bly, also it's all connected.
Oh, Nailing?
Bly Nailing had worked for him. She could vouch for me and all that sort of stuff. And then it just kind of worked out perfectly. That, you know.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
This thing's all connected. Working for Jeff, what were some things that you learned from him, how you like to work?
Back when I was with him, and this was, 18 years ago now?
Oh, jeez.
17 years ago?
Yeah.
Long time. He wrote everything out on yellow legal, pencil pads and with pencil. He would take ideas from anyone, not in a greedy way, but
right.
I mean, and I was so eager the first week as an assistant. I was like, oh my God, it would be great. Woody Harrelson. And he was like, he's an established character in this world, but kudos to you for keep him coming. And I was like, right. I was so mortified, what a dummy. Of course. Right. He loved theater, so there were so many people that he gave jobs to from the theater world, from Broadway, that probably people didn't know about.
Right.
And I was fangirling over. Steven Spinella was on the show a bunch of times, I think on a bunch of shows that he had done, and I had seen him on Broadway, and just loved him, so I was like, oh my God, I love you, and he was like, okay. He was very, he was on top of things. Jeff was always on top of, let's make sure this is happening, let's do this, it was great. I mean, I learned, he taught me how to be a casting director. And then St. Pillsbury phenomenal, so creative, and they love actors.
Actors.
And Gail Pillsbury, she's just magic because she can make every actor feel like they are the only, every person feel like they're the only person on the planet.
I know.
And they're they're able to shine. You know, she's great. And Bonnie too. Bonnie's great in that, like, come in, you're my friend, come on, let's do this. You know, like that, very, like more chill. But Gail's just like, you're amazing.
Sweetie, hi.
Yes.
So good to see you.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I love it. No, it's great. It's one of my favorite rooms to go into, and it was one of my favorite rooms to work in as well, because every actor just always feels so welcome and loved.
And with Marcy, it was really fun to work on features with money, where you had the gift of time, where you could like spend 15 minutes with an actor.
Right.
And be like, okay, let's try that again, and let's think about this, and let's do that. Okay, I'm going to have you back tomorrow. I think maybe you should wear something a little different just because of character, and this is why this knowledge I have, and think about this, and okay, great, see you tomorrow. And it was so, like, as opposed to with TV, it's like...
In and out. Yeah. So, that's cool. So, like, with the feature world on big budget stuff, was she still seeing a lot of actors?
Oh, yeah, we still saw a ton of people. Looked at every self-tape, looked at every demo, looked at everything. It was all about curating the right. I mean, the funniest thing for me was the first movie we did was Dawn of the Dead. I think that's right. I always get the deads wrong. And she said, well, we've got a short amount of time. We have 10 roles we have to cast in 10 weeks. And I was like, on Frasier, we just cast 22 roles in 4 days. And she was like, okay, you'll be fine. Yeah. But I was still an assistant and just taking it all in. But it was amazing to watch all of that process. The time you had was really lovely and luxurious.
The bigger roles on bigger budget features, were you seeing only people that like had certain credits?
Well,
or, like
for most of the time, stuff was attached. Like Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, Jen Garner and Matthew McConaughey were attached.
Right.
And then other stuff like Robert Forster was in Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. We just did a meeting with him, and he was lovely and so amazing. And like just you did those sort of meetings. That age range and that caliber, it's a pretty short list.
Right.
So we got Michael Douglas for that.
Right. For the smaller roles, like the day player roles and stuff like that, were they like people you knew before, or were they like
mixed bag? I think it's always mixed. I think, I mean, in casting you delight in finding new people. So there's like, it's always great whenever you do a session that you bring the people that you know are going to be rock stars, and then like people you've just pre-read that you think are just kind of sparked and like interesting or saw in a play or something. So you have that mix that you can bring together to be like, I know they're going to be awesome, but here's this little wild card and I don't know what's going to happen.
How's the ratio of like people that are like rock stars to like newer?
I think for TV, for Man with a Plan, our EPs are awesome, but they are like, give me your best, just bring it, bring it. So I'll always try and pepper something in. So we'll do a session, will be an hour for all the roles.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like but they're awesome. They know what they want. They know exactly what they're looking for, and it's like, yes, that's great. I want that. So if I'm bringing in, say, 8 people to them, I would say
for one role,
and that's kind of high.
Yeah,
probably be 6, maybe, if I can push it. I was like, just bring people in. It'd be probably like 4 that I know and 2 that are new.
Got it. And you pre-reading people before you bring it to them.
Correct.
So how many people are you pre-reading usually?
Oh, I pre-read a bunch.
Okay.
I like to, because it's just a way for me to meet people. So I'll pre-read as many as 20 people for a role.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's something meaty.
Yeah.
Then I can actually see what you can do, and then also like the harder roles, I'm sure the harder ones are the one-line co-stars where you're like, why is this not working? I don't understand.
Right.
So sometimes you have to dig for more people to do that.
When you bring in 20 people for the pre-read, are they mostly all new? And like the people you're calling back that you already know are good, or straight to producers?
Yeah, I mean most of them are new, or it's people that I haven't seen in a minute.
That you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. I do a lot of new faces just because I like their resume and
How else do you particularly like find new actors? Not from like, do you go to plays a lot? Like, do you see theater a lot?
I love theater. I see theater a lot. That's a big one. I watch way too much TV.
So get on TV.
And I watch like weird, random British shows too. Weird shows, but like,
give me one.
No. I mean, like Midsummer Murders, which no one watches. It is like kind of their equivalent of Law and Order. Story of this DI who lives in these tiny little towns that are lovely, but like suddenly 3 people are killed in this town of 200, and part of me is like, move.
Yeah.
3 people getting killed. That's terrible. You have a serial killer on the loose. But they're all very calm and lovely, and it's very comforting, just like my Angela Lansbury obsession.
So let's talk about Nickelodeon in general, actually.
Okay.
How is casting for Nickelodeon? You know, they say like broad, big,
Yeah, I didn't cast that way, and I don't think it is always that way. What I say, it's like hyper reality. It should still be grounded in some reality. It just should be a little bigger, and that's tricky to find that sweet spot where it's, because some of it is ridiculous, and some of it is like, actually, no, I need you to be. We hired Shallon Cates for the mom on Big Time Rush, and she'd do these, like, be a ninja at one point and, like, do these splits and do this other, which she could do, thankfully. We learned that later, you know. But she also had to be a mom, telling her children that she loved them. So finding that place of where you can be real but also be silly is important.
Yeah. And what about when you're casting kids?
That's hard. It's hard because I think some kids are just who they are. We hired Reese Cadell for Man of the House, and she's now on All That, the new All That.
Oh, yeah. And
she was just fully herself. You know, like, and her parents just let her shine. And I think those are the best kids. It's the ones that are, I mean, I remember once someone in the waiting room got up to come in to me, and her mom was like, "Sparkle, honey." And I'm like, no, what? No. Or when they're overcoached.
Yeah.
You know, in the,
or you can tell, like,
Mom,
you
said you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't be. Is that how you
just
talk to your mom?
Yeah, just be you.
And I would try and get them
yourself
out of it, and that's hard. You know, you're unique. You're the most unique. You're not going to be like everyone else. So don't try to be.
Right.
You know, but a lot of kids, you know, I think they watch Disney and watch those shows, and they're all over the top and silly.
Right.
But the people who were hired because they, you know, Selena Gomez had a spark. She was interesting and unique, and, you know, all of those people from All That, they were interesting and unique. So bring that to yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But I think parents who are a little too stage parenty can get into it.
Or they're kids that are like, they clearly don't want to be there. They're just like doing it because they have, like, they're being forced to. Or like,
I had one kid who came in and he had one line, and clearly he fell asleep in the car. He was sleepy and grumpy, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, can you say?" And he went, "No." I was like, "You sure you can't? You sure yet?" "No." I went, "Okay, bud, have a great day." And she's like, "How do you do?" And I was like, "Uh-huh." So I like just, because it's like, I'm not going to make it. If he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here, and I get it.
Yeah.
You should treat it the way you treat their soccer, their piano, their whatever. Like, you don't sit in the room when he's playing the piano necessarily. Maybe drop him off, and then you go off and do stuff. Just like, and you don't be like, "Did you practice your trill? Did you do this? Did you do whatever?"
Right.
It's like, no, you're like, "How was it?
Yeah.
What'd you learn? Oh, cool, great."
Let's talk about feedback.
Okay.
So feedback for actors. Do you give feedback in the room? When agents ask for feedback, do you always give feedback?
If I have the time, yes.
Yeah.
You know, totally, I'll do it. But like I said, I like to do it on the phone more than in an email. After the Sony hack, I don't put things in writing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like if someone's like, "Can you tell me what you think of this person?" It'll be very generic, or it'll be like, "Do you want to give me a call?" Because if I want to give like real feedback, where I'm like, I feel like they're really green and they need, because I would hate for that to be forwarded to the actor without knowing me and knowing that I'm saying it from a place of like wanting to help them. If they're just asking like, "How did it go?" and I might say, "We have stronger choices."
Right.
I won't get into the details of it, but if it's someone that I know well, I know knows me, then I can talk about like, "Oh, this happened, you know, I don't know that they're ready for this, or I don't know if their comedy's that strong," or that sort of stuff, that I can get into it and they know that it's coming from a kind place, not a mean place.
How do you know when someone is ready for like the series regular or the guest star from the co-star?
I don't know. I don't think it's a qualitative thing. I think sometimes you take that chance and you just pre-read them for the guest star and like, "Oh, great. Oh, yeah, that was really good." And know that they've done enough co-star stuff that they're not going to panic or choke.
Right.
You know, because I don't think you can make a leap from a co-star to a guest star really quickly, particularly these days. You never want to set someone up for failure. There is a part of a leap of faith, but it's also like, no, I've worked with them, I've hired them a bunch of times, they're nice people, they do well, they're prepared, and also I feel like they're ready for this step. And sometimes it's like, you know, if you're lucky, you can be on a show and you start as a co-star and they build you as a guest star, you know, which is the dream.
That's the dream.
Guest star to series regular is that random, sometimes it's like super specific, where they're like,
"We need this."
"Yes, I know that this person has done, like, he can do this. You also have to know your producers. There are some producers who I say are risk averse. They want the known entity. They want the fastball down the middle. They do not want to be the one to say, I made this person a star. They want to know that this person has done a pilot before and that they will do well on their pilot.
Okay.
And some people like to find who's the up and comer.
Right.
Tell me who you love. Like, are you excited about? And then you're like, oh great, let me bring that into you. So it's the taste of the producer as well. You have to acknowledge.
Right. And that's something that you as actors can't. You don't
control it.
You can't control it. You don't know what kind of show you're going in for. Yeah, exactly. So like sometimes you might be great for a part, but it's just like the producers. And that's like a different thing besides like, oh, you're too tall or too fat or too short. So it's like how the producers kind of want the show to go, and that's nothing on you.
Right. I mean, like, it's it's that thing of like you could be the most perfect shade of red, but the producers wanted yellow.
Right.
And you could be so good and know that you nailed it, and like, and I'll know it, but I'll be like, oh, you were great, but that's just not their vision.
Right.
I had that discussion with the producer not that long ago, and I was like, but I love this guy, and he's like, right, me too. But it's not our decision. It's frustrating.
Oh.
That's how I know.
Yeah, no, it is. It super is. Is that the kind of feedback would you ever give that?
I would say like they did a really great job. It just isn't going their way.
Right.
They were great, and I would absolutely bring them back again.